All right, good morning, folks. It's Wednesday morning. What's the date today? Wednesday, the 5th of December, all day. I hope everybody is exceedingly well. Right, let's get into it. First thing we're looking at is S. Obviously, there is no recommendations on this. You know that, the whole thing. Also, if you see this video and you like it and it's on YouTube, please like it as well. It gets the ratings up. Thanks a lot. Okay, so here we go. So we've got S, which is Sprint Nextel Corporation. We got bounces on this upward trending support line. Bounce here, bounce here, bounce here. Thoughts on it? It's going higher than it's ever been before. It's done more than 100% increase. I'd expect some resistance around about 60. That's probably why we're going to see this. Why we're seeing these days actually sitting in on the support line there as well. So just to be aware of that. ATMI. Here we have a downward trending resistance line. Good bounces here. What I did like here, I'll tell you what I did like here, is you've got the downward trending resistance line and you've also got an internal resistance line along here. Now what that basically is doing is giving you sort of a double confirmation. It's stronger if you've got two resistance lines converging together on that area. Now obviously it's put in 3 days here. It's put a slightly up day yesterday. So yeah, obviously you're going to be using a stop order if you were to trade that stock. But let me have a look. Let me zoom back out again. Clear zoom. So yeah, some support around about the $18 mark. Entry is going to be important, folks, as ever. Then we had WAIR. Support line around about the $12.50. A pretty explosive stock. It comes down and it puts in, yeah, I mean, nothing you haven't seen before. So I'm sure you would know how to deal with that one. Again, I can't stress how important these entry points are, because you get a good entry point, that's where you make your money. You know, if you get a good entry point, that's really where you make your money. Okay, we've got some support here on PL, some support around about 25, also downward trending resistance line. What else am I looking for here? Nothing significant. Should this actually break through this downward trending resistance line, then there's another resistance at around about the $30 mark. If it was to break through, then yeah, there's that resistance line around there about 30. Give you a pretty decent ratio as well if it was to come up to 30 and down to 25. So there we go. GMPL. Whoa, not found. GMLP. Okay, and here we have a downward trending resistance line. Bounce, 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 bounce. I do like that the lows are getting lower here as well. So your lows getting lower. Why do they do that? Okay, you can see this anyway. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's ready to trade now. So I don't really know why it was raised, but we've got maybe another 3 or 4 days before it should come up to that resistance line. Again, entry point is vital. ISLE. ISLE's the next one. Support line around about the $5 mark. Yep, it sat in. Obviously, this is going to be the low of the bounce here. Nice little dojis. I do like how it's put in 3 little days there. So yeah, clear zoom. Pretty decent range as well, should you get the numbers right there. And remember, folks, again, hedging positions are taking longs and shorts. Very, 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 very important. PVA, we have a support line around about just above the $4 mark. Resistance line just below the 750 mark. Yeah, we've got a bounce there, certainly. Second bounce there. I would still be waiting for it to come down for the third bounce. I'm not convinced that has given us 3 bounces on that line at the moment. PVA. Then we had EDAP came in as well, but that's too small to trade. So GPOR, even with my liberal way of looking at things. GPOR resistance around about 37.05. What I will say as well, though, I don't know if people are looking at the 2-year chart on this. Yeah, I mean 2 years there's some pretty decent resistance along there, but not just for the 1 year. Okay. Remember, if you're taking entry points off longer term time frames, folks, you are going to be holding those positions for a lot longer. Okay, So, but again, that's a pretty decent range where it's been in June. But are you going to hold on to a position for 6 months until you get down there? I guess if it doesn't cost you anything, then if the stock's going to make you some money, then fair enough. Then we have SPPI, and I couldn't see any reason to trade the stock. So not sure on that one. IGTE, support at circa 15, so some support around about the $15 mark. That side again, 1 bounce, 2 bounces, 3 bounces. I would rather see a bounce here. If it was sort of equidistant, then I would be much more keener on it. Then we've got HART. And what do we have here? We've got some resistance around about the $60 mark. That's right. Upward trending support line from December, early June. That'll be mid-November, early June. Okay, so not mid-December. So there you got the upward trending bounces there. Maybe one we've already missed by about half a month. So yeah, let's just make sure that these ones that you're bringing up, please, are relevant to go in the next couple of days. Some resistance around 60 as well, so I'll be setting some alerts around 60 there. Then we have BAC, Bank of America Corp, resistance at the $9 mark. $10 mark. This has been hanging around here for a while, actually. Just to be aware as well, there is an upward trending support line here. It's been raised a few times. But that upward trending support line, whilst not as strong as we could even argue it came back from there, but you're not going to break that longer term support there. But just below the $10 mark is the resistance line. I'd expect it to be a bit of a clash and a breakout here one way or the other. Then we have CNX and an upward trending support line here. Bounce, bounce, bounce. A little bit of a gap here, so it might sell off. Again, we're seeing those, when we talk about the gap and then the breakthrough, normally on the horizontal stocks as opposed to the upward trending stocks. Again, some resistance around about the $37 mark, but there's some decent range there. So, again, entry point going to be crucial. Then we have Tango Echo Romeo. Downward trending resistance line, so late April. There we go. Downward trending resistance, pretty decent range again. Nothing you haven't dealt with before. Then we have MNST. Again, I just drew in all these support and resistance lines, and for some reason they're not here anymore. So here we have the downward trending resistance line again. Bounce, bounce, bounce. Quite a strong rally up here. A little bit of a consolidation now. Be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of days. It didn't gap. Bit of a unique way the stock moves, actually. You can see it sold off pretty aggressively from that resistance line previously. So, yeah, and a pretty big stock as well. Monster Beverage Corp. Hence it's a big stock. Okay. Then we have, what we got up next? We've got Romeo. And Romeo is a downward trending resistance line. So January through to January to March, and then late November, early December. So current. Again, some kind of upward trending support line here. 47 to 35 is a pretty decent ratio. It did gap down here. Some reasonable support around about the $38 mark. That's still a pretty chunky size stock though. Then we had ACI, Alpha Charlie, India. Arch Coal, I know a lot of people took some money off the stock some time back, well, a while back. There's downward trending resistance line. There's also an upward trending support line here. Be very aware of the entry point and the resistance line. I expect them to clash and there to be a breakout one way or the other. This may be a sign of a a change of personality, as this is pretty well defined upward trending support line. I wouldn't be surprised to see it break to the upside over the next few weeks. Obviously, not saying I'm saying would happen, but sometimes you see this change of behavior that's consistent can lead to a change in direction there as well. We have ACXM and an upward trending support line. Again, this is a pretty stroppy stock. It rallied very aggressively off the off that support line. That may be announcements related, but it's got like these big tails. I don't like trading things with big tails. Reason being is because again, it doesn't have a huge sense of itself. When you have a stock that is moving more passively, yeah, it's not going to make you huge money in the short term, but particularly people who are spread betting, obviously you can leverage a lot more there. Charlie Alpha Golf, again an upward trending support line, a little bit scrappy, some upward trending resistance as well. Cabalt, we've traded Cabalt a lot of the time. I mean, there's been a few trades around this stock. I think, was it the stock Cabalt, or maybe that's Cobalt. Okay, yeah, nothing you haven't seen there before. Again, a lot of big tails though. A lot of big tails. Then we have USB. An upward trending support line from there to there to there to there. My concern here is this. Look at this big down day today. Okay, or big down day yesterday. I would much prefer to see something like this. But then again, if we clear zoom and go back to when it bounced off there previously, it did something similar. So if you're looking to trade this kind of thing, be very aware of what the stock has done previously, because that's all we know about what it's done before. Is clear zoom. Yeah. Don't get the stock confused with BAC, which is Bank of America Corp. But a pretty decent ratio if you get a good entry point there. US Bank Corp. Then we have Sierra Charlie Hotel Whiskey and an upward trending support line around about there. Yep, mid-November. Again, it's still going to drop off a little bit, so maybe one to review again on Thursday. Sorry, on Friday morning. It's Charles Schwab. Then we have Alpha Umbrella. Some support around about this area, maybe a slightly downward trending support line and a downward trending resistance line as well to be aware of. With her, what the hell is going on with this? Why is this giving me all these stupid colors now? Okay, all right. So you got the downward trending resistance line as well. Okay, so that should come into the equation when calculating profit taking, if that was what you wanted to do with that trade. Right, then we have linear resistance around about 33.80. So around about 33.80, some resistance there. The lows have got slightly lower here, which is obviously a good sign. If we've got an upward trending support line there, you've got to be aware. I know these short-term support lines and resistance lines, they are short-term, but they can have an impact on obviously the profit taking. So I'm always aware of that, where those internal shorter-term support and resistance lines are as well. Here we have TXT, which is maybe a slightly upward trending support line there, and failing that, then there is support at 22.30 as well. So yeah. Okay. Then we have WELT, WLT. Downward trending resistance line. Bang, 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 bang. A bit scrappy. Yeah. It's broken obviously through that resistance line around about here. So a little bit scrappy. Then we have Charlie Echo Lima Golf and resistance around about 80. Again, a pretty big stock. and yeah, pretty large stock, pretty large stock. Be very careful of it, and also it does gap. It has gapped a few times, but you see it's gapped down, and it's also gapped up, which can make it a little bit confusing to trade. And certainly with these kind of stocks, you don't want to get caught out on a gap, because it costs you too much. Then we have Bank of Montreal, resistance around about the 60, 63, 60, 35. 60.35. What else am I looking for there? A little bit gappy, a little bit scrappy. I do like things a little bit more predictable. DFE. Whoa. Okay, so we got Wisdom Tree. We've got some resistance around about the $39 mark. Resistance around about the $39 mark. Happy days. What I don't like about this stock is the way it gaps. It looks like there's a lot of trading that goes on outside of retail hours, and hence it's gapping all over the place. You don't want to be trading something that is gapping, because if you get caught out on a gap going the wrong direction, it can really mess up your numbers. Okay, then we have General Motors. We have an upward trending support line here, and I also see a downward trending resistance line there. Expect the two to come together in some kind of clash and a breakout in one direction or the other. Something I'd be... Again, it's scrappy, man. Look how long these tails are. You know, the stock doesn't have a huge sense of itself again. GM. Then we had, what's it? ACH, but ACI, but just that'd been duplicated already. Then we had CCK, Charlie Kilo, and upward trending support line early June. So we've got that upward trending support line. It's been to prior highs quite recently, just outside the month, which is normally a good sign. Obviously, you've got an upward trending resistance line here, so it does have the potential to be able to go higher should it want to. Yeah, but it has broken an internal support here as well. So there's some internal short-term support here, but yeah, make of that as you will. CCK, PII. We have an upward trending support line. Bounce, 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 bounce. Happy days. Pretty heavy sell-off here on what that would be Monday. Put in a little bit of a doji here on Tuesday, so the open and the close are pretty similar. What have we got there? 81. It's a pretty big ratio. Maybe not 10%, but again, with these kind of big stocks, entry is king. AFG. What do we have here? AFG. We've got resistance just below 40. Some kind of resistance just below 40, perhaps. You be the judge of that. This is driving me mad. Okay, so hopefully should just be blue. Oh, come on, man. So resistance just below the $40 mark. Okay. Again, it's a wily old stock, this. Yeah. Okay. Then we had TUP. Tupperware brands, hitting that area of resistance around about the $46 mark. The stock, again, as I think I said on one of the other videos, it's gapped up, then pulled back, then gapped up, then pulled back, then gapped up. It seems to be consolidating a little bit. This was my concern on the stock a couple of weeks back when we spoke about it. But again, you know, pretty decent range there. Should you be able to get your entry point right, beware of the internal support around about the $60 mark as well. Then we have, there was ORCL that came up. ORCL. I'm really not sure what we were looking at here to trade, because it's certainly not ready to trade right now, not from a 1-year time frame. Is there maybe a 2-year time frame? Yeah, quite possibly. Okay. Again, folks, I'm not a huge fan of trading 2-year time frames, just because of the amount of time you're going to be sitting in that trade for. And I know people like to get in and out of trades a lot of the time. Then we have ABFS, particularly if it's tying up money for you. Okay, downward trending resistance line. There we go, pretty decent. Bounce, 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 bounce. Lows getting lower, which I do like. Relatively small stock, but not impossible. Then we had CDXS, which was too small. I wasn't interested in that. Then we had Dell. Again, a downward trending stock. Downward trending resistance line. Bouncing all the way along here. It's gapped up slightly. Would that concern me? It hasn't gapped up really enough to overly concern me, but obviously you got to use a stop order to be if you were going to trade that stock. I believe our Dell's fallen, eh? Crazy. Dell, RHI, Robert Half International, downward trending resistance line late April to current. Maybe I could bring it down a little bit, but again, I feel that sort of trying to make ends meet here, or trying to justify the trade. I mean, that was probably a more entertaining look at the trade from there. Again, a trade that has got the tendency to gap a few times, so be aware of that as well. RHI, we've been through, and then UNT. Umbrella November Tango. Downward trending resistance line late Feb, mid-September, and current. So there we go. About comments on the stock. Obviously some support around about the $40 mark. I do like how it's been pretty passive over the last couple of days, the last few days. Put in, it's been very uniform in its behavior here. It hasn't been here. It was very naughty there. I don't know whether there was announcements there or what have you, but not even huge volumes. But yeah, again, it's putting in dojis here. We're really spoiled for choice with these selections, folks. Absolutely spoiled for choice. Yeah, if you've enjoyed the video and it's on YouTube, feel free to like it. Thank you so much. Cheers. Bye bye.